Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate. This is episode 43, and I'm super excited tonight, which I'll probably tell you every night, but tonight we've got a great episode planned. We've got a ton of spoilers. We've got some decks that we built. Yes, we built with some of the new leaders, and yes, I gave JJ Thrawn, so you don't have to worry about my Thrawn deck, but that'll be coming in a couple of weeks. But we're going to reveal a couple of decks that we've been working on, stuff that we've been playtesting a little bit as much as you can. It's really hard to playtest without the full set, but hey, we're going to go ahead and throw some way too early lists out. And then on top of that, we officially are going to be going over some of the PQ results. But really, the big thing is hey, what made top 8 that looks cool that could be viable for the next set? So that's kind of the list that we're going to go over. Like, I don't care that much that Hans won 4 more and Django won 3 and Quinlan won 1. I don't care. But we will got to go over a little bit of those in case you are prepping for your PQ this weekend. With that being said, we also have a special announcement. We got guests joining us tonight. Tonight we are going to have the Too Many Hans, because there's 3 of them officially in the game in 4 sets. So we got Too Many Hans podcast joining us tonight with Sam and Trinity. But before we get to them, let me introduce my co-host for tonight. Please welcome the bench warmer himself, Mr. Alex. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm doing well. Obviously the Super Bowl was on Sunday, so this is a recording on Tuesday, which is the day they give us new leader reveals. So that's cool. Excited about that. Kind of bonkers. So I'm ready, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be an action-packed night. Also joining me on mic tonight is JJ. How are you today, sir?
Doing well. I had a good weekend. Had my daughter's birthday where we did a ton of things, trampoline park and the works and stuff like that for her. Missed the first part of the Super Bowl, but got to see 3/4 of it. Love the movie trailers that they have coming out for the next movies. But again, just really upset that we didn't get an Andor Season 2 trailer for that. I've been really, really hoping to see like new capital ships and heroes and stuff like that come out for that, because that's just going to be more content, right? For the cards and stuff for the game, or possibly for like Star Wars X-Wing. So like really excited to see that later on this year. And yeah, had a good time.
Awesome. And joining us as guest hosts tonight is Sam and Trinity. Welcome to the show from Too Many Hans, because again, there's just too many of them. I'm gonna, just so you know ahead of time, I'm gonna probably say that like 17 times tonight. Like it'll be a new catchphrase. But how are you all doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Very excited to be here. Excited to cover some new stuff.
Mm-hmm. We whipped together some decks the other day, so figured might as well come on and talk about them. Be fun.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what we're super excited to do that, because it's like, hey, we got new pilots. We're gonna have people are gonna be deck building, and like now's the time. Despite what Alex will tell you, now is the time to start building decks, because they're super fun, and then you get to change them all up in the next 2 weeks when we get new cards for them. So, well, hopefully you all had a good weekend. It was crazy. I didn't have a PQ this weekend. So did anybody play in a PQ this weekend?
A PQ or a showdown?
Oh, did you play in a showdown, Alex?
No, I almost did though. I should have, but then I didn't.
We did a showdown. I actually took first place, and I think she took like 5th or 6th.
Something like that.
Oh, where was you guys? That's right. You guys were up north, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
There was like 20 or 30 people, but still pulled an Anakin out of prize bags.
Hey, you can't pass that up, because I won 2 boxes at the PQ in Lansing, and then last night I won 5 packs, and I still haven't gotten a damn showcase from set 3. Like, this is the most ridiculous thing in the world. I have not gotten a showcase from set 3, and I don't even care at this point which one I get.
I pulled 2 Padmes. Does that count? You know how depressing that is?
Very depressing. Very depressing. Well, I'm glad you all had a good time. Before we kick the show off, what I want to do is we always kind of do, let's do a spotlight. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you guys are going to school right now. You fell in love with Star Wars, the card game. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your podcast, and then kind of how they can find you, and a little bit about yourself. Both of you.
So we both study at Grand Valley over in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And we first got into the card game the week after pre-release, and our local shop that is now closed up in Traverse City held a pre-release box for us, and then they went out of business like 2 weeks later, so we moved over to a different one. And she hadn't seen a single Star Wars movie until 2 months of us playing the game. She finally went, I kind of want to know who these characters are. And now she is forcing me to watch all these shows and movies over and over and over again, which I'm pretty all right with. But
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of an interesting thing that we got into because we were not really into a lot of card games. At this point, I think we just picked up like Lorcana and stuff like that, so we were very new. But as soon as we started actually playing this game, it kind of just became the new favorite off the rip. So, yeah, we've kind of been playing it ever since casually and not casually, I guess, competitively.
But yeah,
But yeah.
so we're just on Spotify right now. We're going to be on YouTube. We just put out a Discord channel as of last week and
I think so.
branching out from there. But Spotify is our main place to be right now.
Awesome. We'll post links in the description for everybody when we close tonight. Make sure everybody has a way to get a hold of you if they want to and listen in on your shows. Also, I want to give a shout out. Alex, I heard you were on another podcast. So would you like to shout out your appearance on another podcast for us?
Oh, yeah, my buddy decided to do another Han-themed podcast called Never Tell Me the Odds. It's just a local of mine. He actually got 9th at the PQ in Lansing with the yellow Obi deck, and he's just been spamming things out incredibly.
Nice.
But yeah, I was on there just doing the spin the wheel, do the leaders kind of thing. So it was fun. I'm not like that, officially like a co-host or anything like that. I think it's mostly a solo project, but we have some free time, so we'll just play some matches against each other.
Yeah, it's neat though, right? It's neat. He was a really nice guy when I got to meet him too. So yeah, it was neat. Figured we give him a shout out since you were on there, and you didn't tell us you were on there. So like now I'm gonna put you on the spot here and make you plug for him.
Yeah. Those that never tell me the odds. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll have a link to their podcast in the description too. All right. Well, let's get into the show tonight. I think we're going to do spoilers first. We got so many of them. We want to get through at least some of them because there's some new leader reveals. And there's one that got dropped the day we're recording. And we are going to cover it because JJ told me I didn't get a choice, that it's his new favorite leader over Thrawn. But without further ado, please welcome our Galactic Gazette for our news and spoiler segment. All right, thanks for joining us for our Galactic Gazette. This is our news and spoilers segment. And I'm going to preface this, and I know I told you all last week we were going to have a conversation about rotation, but I'm not ready to have a conversation about rotation because I still don't know how I feel, A, and B, the spoilers are a lot more fun than talking about set rotation, if we're being frankly honest. So we will have that conversation at some point. And I do know also that they spoiled like regionals and sectionals, and there's like, I don't know, 4 events or something like that that are going to happen. We'll cover that, but like I don't know, like I'm more interested in what the prize support is, but I really want to spend some time getting into like a discussion about, like the costing and what we think some of this stuff is, and like should you travel to one of these events and if you really want the stuff, or is it better just to buy it secondhand? So we'll talk about all of that in the future. But to begin with, Too Many Hans is going to kick us off, and they're going to reveal our very first leader tonight. All right, y'all, go ahead and reveal the leader.
All right, we got Luke Skywalker, Hero of Yavin, and his action ability is if you attacked with a fighter unit this phase, deal 1 damage to a unit. And epic action is if you control 6 or more resources, you can deploy him as a leader or deploy him as a pilot. And would you like to talk about his flip side?
On the technical front side of it, we got he's a 5/6 normally, and then when you deploy him as a pilot, he's a 9/11, and then he can't be defeated by enemy card abilities when he's played as a pilot. And then attached unit is a leader unit. If it's a fighter, it gains on attack. You may deal 3 damage to a unit.
All right. So first off, he is not a 9/11.
Yeah.
Like just before somebody calls us out of that, he's not a 9/11.
He gives +4/+5.
My
He becomes a
brain
Great
shut down
Dragon.
for a
Yes.
minute. Yes. That'd be awesome.
Oh man.
Well, that would be more than like Pulp, and I think at that point he should just be like he's a 10
I know,
cost.
right?
Listen, I saw the first Mortal Kombat or the second Mortal Kombat movie where he turns into a dragon. I'm pretty sure Luke can do this too. He's a 5/6 unit for 6 and a +4 or +5 upgrade, which is really huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think the big thing that we're seeing here, right, is we're seeing him I don't know. I'm not super sold on his front side action. Like you got to take a whole action to be able to do a damage to a unit, but I do think that like it is okay. But like I've argued this before, and I've argued this more than one time. Like people like Quinlan and Boba's reason those do better at some of these things is because they don't require you to specifically spend a separate action to do things. They're automatic reactions. So I'm not like personally, I'm not super sold on his front side, but his flip side feels insane, right? Like that just feels really good that he can't be defeated. But Alex, I think we were having a conversation before, weren't we, about what cards actually affect Luke?
Yeah. So, I mean, besides like Rivals Fall, which just kills everything. The way it seems is that like Bamboozle would kill him, right? Because Bamboozle, you just return all the upgrades to the hand, and that's not defeating the upgrade. But obviously, as a leader, he can't be returned to hand, and they're destroyed instead. So there may have to be a clarification if bouncing a leader upgrade counts as destroying it, but currently it doesn't. I don't know. Doesn't seem that way. So I mean, also his normal leader side is kind of like a Bo-Katan, right? Where it's like, hey, if you attack the Mandalorian, you can do a 1 damage to that. So it's pretty analogous to that. So hopefully it goes more the way of better than Bo-Katan.
Yeah. So Sam, you had mentioned that this was one of your favorite characters. So tell us a little bit why you think Luke is really good.
I feel like setting him up can be very good depending on what you're pairing him with. You could do something like ECL, and there are a huge amount of fighter options between red, green, and blue right now. So using something between like, I don't know, Anakin's Interceptor, that's a fighter. Disabling Fang Fighter is also a fighter, which would defeat your opponent's pilot. Like there's a lot of different combinations that can be used and tack on the damage. And then when he's out, you're dealing the auto 3 damage on attack, and he can't be defeated as the upgrade individually. And he puts them out of range of takedown. So it feels like it's going to take a lot of the blue control decks and kind of move them off to the side a little bit in terms of taking what is really good right now with blue-black villainy and kind of shifting things a little bit when he comes.
Just double power the dark side.
Yeah, right.
No, I think people are a little bit too down on him. I don't think he's bad by any means, especially because there's like you were saying, there's a fair amount of like solid fighters, but in addition, there's a lot more coming with this set. So there's a bunch of really cool stuff like, I don't know, like Obi-Wan's Aether Sprite is a fighter, right? And then you can just hit yourself for 1 and then do 2 damage, then do 3 more damage.
Yeah,
Plus your attack.
Plus swinging in for, what is that, 9? Or no, 8?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of cool stuff. And like you still have like the Rebels energy in there as well. So you can like wing leader it or fleet lieutenant it or whatever,
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to the next leader. We have Darth Vader making an appearance. All right, which one of you want to cover Darth Vader?
I'll take Darth Vader. So we got the return of Victor Squadron Leader Darth Vader. He comes with the Force, Imperial, Sith, and Pilot keywords on his card that he reads as an action. If you attack with a non-token vehicle unit this phase, create a TIE Fighter token. He deploys on 6 resources, and he is, as a ground unit, a 5/6. And he reads, attach unit is a leader unit. When deployed as an upgrade, you create 2 TIE Fighter tokens. He gives the vehicle that he's on a +5/+5. Definitely very good. Kind of reminds me of one of the leaders that we had from the previous set, which is Newt Gunray. Just being able to create those 2 TIE Fighter tokens or create an additional TIE Fighter token just by you attacking with a vehicle unit, as long as that vehicle was in a non-token unit, allows you to really expand the board with multiple TIE Fighters out on the board, so you can deal a lot more spread out damage across the board. Definitely allows for Vader to be used in decks that use exploit, as you can get rid of those TIE Fighter tokens to bring in more stronger vehicles down the line. And we're definitely going to see a lot of when defeated cards as well, make it into those decks with Darth Vader as well. Definitely very, very solid for what he can do. Deploying on a 6 is pretty good as well. He is definitely very strong, either as a ground unit or as a pilot. So definitely going to see some play with this Vader for sure.
Yeah, so I think he looks fun. I built a deck around him, obviously, because I think he looks fun. But I don't know how meta it's gonna be. He is still slow. It's again, I'm gonna harp on that. It takes an action to do this other thing, and I guess like with him, it's not as big of a deal because it's taking the action to create a token unit, and like you don't have to do it if you don't really need it for anything, and it does help you create somewhat of a swarm. I mean, I guess you can always put Vader on a token unit, right? Like it doesn't say we can't because they're fighters, so you can do that. Like I don't know if that's a good idea, but you can.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like that his normal text box is blank. They basically are telling you we'll only play this unit as an upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, a 6 cost 5/6 isn't bad. That comes in ready. I mean, that's still a pretty good stats, and he's got 5 health as a pilot too, and 5 attacks. So he only lost 1 health going to as an upgrade, whereas Luke lost an attack and a health. So
Yeah, I think
even if you
5 upgrade is like the big part of this, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say, even if you deploy him as a ground unit, you can still put Vader's lightsaber on him, and he gets even better stats as a ground unit. So
that is true. We could put Vader's lightsaber on. That thing still is around. So.
Or any other lightsaber, you know.
We want that one specific. Yeah, like come on.
Well, you can do both. Just not
All
2 Vader's lightsabers, so those are unique.
All right. Well, let's move on to Poe Dameron. We'll talk a little bit more about Vader and Luke later, as we have decks built for them. So we don't have a deck built for Poe, but we wanted to reveal it. So Alex, what in God's green earth is this pilot? Why is everybody ranting and raving about him?
So you have Poe Dameron out in Red Heroic. He is a rare leader. And his leader side is action. Spend a resource and exhaust him. Flip this leader and attach him to as an upgrade to a friendly vehicle unit without a pilot. As you notice, that's not an epic action to deploy him. By doing that, he just pops into whatever's around. And then his leader unit side is just a 4/6, no ability. And his upgrade is, as an action, you can spend 1 resource, attach his upgrade to a friendly vehicle unit without a pilot on it, and you can only use that once per round. And he gives it +2/+1. So I think a lot of people are thinking 1 is kind of cool that he could just hop in turn 2 and give something a buff, +2/+1, and then like swap other vehicles. But there's also another card that was spoiled with him that kind of makes it a little bonkers, but I'm sure we can get to that when we spoil that card, the way that interaction works. But it is worth of note, his active action, you can't actually deploy him as an upgrade. The only way you can do that is with a normal action. So when you deploy him as a leader unit, he is just a 4/6 ground unit, which I don't think we've ever even seen Poe not in like a cockpit or
he's not designed to be that way. Oh, it's only when the plane crashed, right?
I guess. So that's going to be pretty interesting. A lot of people are just like, hey, aggro things. +2/+1, thankfully, is, resistance trait, not like a rebel trait. So you don't get sillier things with fleet lieutenants and whatnot. But it seems pretty cool. We'll see how very effective he is because a lot of people are brewing a whole bunch of stuff and whatnot. But again, we'll get to the other card that we'll reveal to talk about how that might get a little silly.
Yeah, there's a couple of them actually. We're getting a new black one, baby.
Right. Also, do you think they just changed like the Darth Vader from being like Black Squadron to just Victor Squadron, not to confuse it with like Poe's Black Squadron?
I would say that that's a high probability, yes.
That's my only theory, because like Victor Squadron is just like an invention for this game.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to our bases. And this one, what we're going to do is I'll read through both bases, and then we'll kind of do like a quick roundtable to talk a little bit about how we feel these bases are, if they're worth the cost or whatever floats your boat with them. So the first one is a green 33 health data vault base. And basically what it does is your minimum deck size is now increased by 10. So essentially you have to carry 60 cards in your deck, which for people like me probably don't really care, because I like to run more cards in my deck than I'm supposed to. So you get three extra health and you have to run 10 extra cards. As a pelt player, I don't know how much I hate that personally. I don't think it's like the best thing in the world, but like as a pelt player, it's like whatever. But like I can always run 10 extra cards, but I guess 3 extra health is cool. The second one is Nabat Village. It's a 27 health base yellow. It is essentially draw 3 more cards in your starting hand. You can't take a mulligan. When the first action phase comes, put 3 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck in any order. I like this deck personally myself. I think this can go very well with if you are looking to run like a double yellow character. I would also like this with, I can't remember the name of the stupid little guy from Han Solo, whatever his name is, the villain saboteur guy. Like, I can't remember. JJ, what the hell is that guy's name?
Tobias Beckett.
No, not Woody Harrelson, dude. The alien knows the leader.
Yeah, he has a weird name.
Rio Durant.
Thank you.
Yeah, Rio.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like, I kind of like this base. Like, I played around a little bit going double yellow with this base, just like with him, because it gives you a bigger starting hand. You don't get to mulligan, which does kind of suck. Like, if you get stuck with a hand, and you're only really losing 3 health, so I don't know how bad of a deterrent that is. I personally like it, but I do think it'll be a niche case. Trinity or Sam, like, have you guys spent any time looking at either of these bases? Do either of them interest you, or are they kind of meh?
I do think it's a little odd that they made a 27 health base, and Sam initially just said it was another Han Yellow base immediately. So the other one is just, it's a lot less shocking per se, because a lot of people run like 40 or 50 card decks an extra 3 health for that though is pretty good, I think. What do you think?
A little bit of that confused me, of what you just said, but I definitely see a lot of double yellow synergy for Han, because you're digging for Falcons or DJs or whatever you want to do, depending on what your opponent has, whether it's Bodhi Rook against like Bosk or something like that to try and take out their bounties early, or just whatever you need in terms of what your deck really relies on in different, or like waylays and stuff like that. But Data Vault, I don't think we'll see play outside of. No, I actually don't. I can't see a reason that anyone would use Data Vault unless they were double green PAL players or maybe Hera. But yeah, the 3 life definitely isn't worth it when you need certain cards at certain points and you just can't find them because they're sitting there at the bottom 10 that you sacrifice the 3 health for. So I really don't see a use for that one, but the yellow 27 health base, I'm really excited for.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they did 27 health. Your deck is reduced by like 5 or whatever it was, because it was 10% for both. Yeah, so you reduce it then to 27, your deck size 45. But then when they went the opposite way, it's bump it up by 10. I wonder if there's like a weird playtesting thing where they tried a 36 health base and they're just like, nope, too good.
I mean, that would definitely be a pelt base then. Like, yep, could be a 36 health base.
I guess. I don't think that card is particularly good, just because I don't think running 60 cards is I don't know, maybe if you had a lot of like things that tutor, but that doesn't really exist too much in this game. Like, I mean, maybe like a boss, right, where he's just playing a ton of like the bounty hunters quarries and cycling through really fast. But even then, that just seems worse. I don't know. And the Bat Village, I think technically the math is you get slightly better odds to see a particular card, but it's like single digit percentages, almost negligible. So it's like, I don't know, man. You know my luck. I'm just gonna get 9 unplayable cards instead of 6. And I can't mulligan it, and then I bottom 3 good ones.
I don't know. I like it. I think it's good, but I think it has a unique situation for it. So.
Yeah, like if you very, very specifically need a particular combo, like with a double yellow Han tech DJ thing, that's the only way I can see it being like widely played. But up next, we have some red hero cards. Do you guys want to do... JJ, do you want to do red 5 or should I let the guests?
Yeah, sure. I'll actually no. Let's let them take their pick. Go ahead, guys.
Oh, okay. Red 5 is a 3-cost space unit. It's aggression heroism. It's a 3/5 and it's rebel vehicle fighter traits. On attack, you may deal 2 damage to a damaged unit. I love it.
Yeah, because red 5 was Luke, right? So that really fits with his whole shtick. I guess when he's piloting it, right, 2-3 damage, then another 2 damage.
That's why his attack power is 4 and not 5. Because can you imagine that thing that would be swinging in for 8, right? Plus your 2, plus your other 2, and like that's just nuts.
And notice that is not like arena bound either. It is just like, just do it to a damaged unit. Who cares if they're on the ground?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing too is that the synergy that it has with Luke, right? Because Luke gets to attack any unit, right? There's no restriction. Red 5 can then, assuming that you didn't kill that unit, can target that unit that you've now damaged and deal 2 additional damages to it. And honestly, that will defeat a lot of Sentinel units. That could be either in space or on the ground, and then you can basically do 7 damage to the base after that if you clear that Sentinel. So it's.
I mean, you have to target the Sentinel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So,
fair.
yeah.
Good point.
But if it's a ground Sentinel, just wipe that out and still hit their base.
Yeah.
So I have a quick question, Alex. So let's talk rules for just a quick second. Like, so because they're 2 separate on attacks, I'm gonna pick on village people. Right? If you initiate those 2 attacks separately, so you could essentially kill the shield and then kill the unit.
Well, you do 1 on attack, you finish the rest of that on attack, and then you do another on attack action.
There you go.
Finish that one out.
Very dirty against those like stupid little village people.
What I don't think people realize is if there's a lot of like indirect damage, most people are going to put that on their units, right, when they can absorb it and not eat it directly into their base and lose faster. So that actually punishes people for doing that. And I think that's huge.
It almost makes Luke better.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, it works with like K2SO too, right? The more damage they have on units, the more you can overwhelm.
Ugh. All right, what's the next card? We got a trench run. Who's taking?
I'm going to do that because this is bonkers.
Yeah,
I can't wait to just. It's silly. Not to do trench run, to do anti-trench run things, which I'll get to. Okay, so trench run. It is a red heroic event for 1. It's a gambit, so unfortunately, it doesn't really do anything with like Steel Guerrero. It's not a tactic. Attack with a fighter unit. For this attack, it gets +4/+0 and gains. On attack, discard 2 cards from the defending player's deck. Deal unpreventable damage equal to difference to the discard card's cost to this unit. So if you dump things more than its health, like a Snoke and like a Pike Sentinel or something, you just eat 6 and just blow up on attack. And you never finish the trench run. And the heroes lose. Which I like.
That's great. That's great.
Because it's on attack, right, is when you take the damage. So if it's, again, a very, very appropriate gambit, if they don't have enough, or if they have like they're running like my Blue Han deck where every card is 3, you just don't even take any damage. But if you do something wild, like they have a Invasion of Christophsis or something in their deck for some crazy reason, you're just gonna blow up immediately. And I like that kind of stuff. That's a really cool like gambling thing. I'm sure like it's tough of like when should you play it. I like that decision thing. Is like, hey, I have 5 health, I should be good. Or if like I have 2 health, this is gonna be really dicey. I don't actually get the +4 attack kind of thing. But either way, you're also dumping cards from your opponent's deck, and that's kind of cool.
I have a question though, right? Because we know you'll never play this card. Because it'll just kill you every time if you play that.
I'm gonna put Christophsis right in my deck too. They'll never see it coming.
You're killing me.
Do you know how fun that would be?
Yeah. Okay, so hold on. I have a question though about this. Like, so how much is heroic resolve? Is that 1 or 2?
It's 1, but you have to pay extra resources to use the heroic resolve effect.
Because like that just feels better. Like you don't discard 2 cards, but I don't.
So we got Biggs Darklighter coming in at the 3 cost with the red and heroic aspect. He, as deployed as a ground unit, will come in with 3 attack and 4 health, and then when deployed as a pilot, he is a +2/+1, and it reads: if he's attached to a fighter, it gains overwhelm. If attached unit is a transport, it gets 1 health additional, and if the attached unit is a speeder, it gains grit. Really, actually a good card, right? The piloting cost for him is also a 1, which makes him much more cheaper. He is so versatile. You can put him on so many different types of units, and you really just give it a really nice buff, right? Because all these additional keywords get added in on top of the buff that he's giving to the actual fighter, that +2/+1. So he's definitely going to see some play. Definitely a really good unit. Just a very cheap way to get in a nice upgrade to a particular fighter or transport or speeder, and just go in and do some work. So really solid card coming out for Biggs.
Yeah, like it's just really cool, like design space that it's just like, yeah, just put them on whatever. And if it's one of these 3, it just does different effects. You're gonna have to like really make sure that text box is pretty visible though, because I will forget 100% of the time.
I want to know what speeder we have.
There's
the
not
Rebel
many.
speeder.
It's like, remember like the green one where it gives like ambush, and like the Rogue Squadron Skirmisher where it gets ambush and you can return a 2 cost. And you got like the Snow Speeder and the Escort's Gift.
Okay.
And also the Land Speeder, the one that you steal. But no one's doing that. But I don't know, maybe there'll be some better speeders in here. Probably, right? I'm just happy he's not a sentinel, so I don't have to shoot at him and get PTSD all day and be forced to like always target him. Because that was the worst experience in X-Wing.
I would have thought that would have been hilarious if they had done that. So
always shoot at Biggs, both space and ground. Uber sentinel. Awful. Yeah, I like it. I think it's cool.
Dirty.
And the piloting for 1 is like huge. Like if you have Wedge Leader, you just play him for free.
I don't know about you all, but this like some of this like is crazy because if you think about it, they're screwing our math up pretty bad, right? Like you're putting this 3 cost unit, but it's really a 1 cost unit. Like which do you want it for? Like, well, you probably want it for the piloting piece of it, right? Because that's the better part of it, and it's cheaper. So like now you got to consider 1 drops, and you got to consider upgrade 1 drops. Like, and we don't like the amount that they're giving us. We don't normally run that many upgrades in a deck ever. Like power failure for the win, baby.
Yeah.
Red's just going to be like the most powerful this set.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's move on. We got some more. We're gonna skip down a few of these. We're gonna tackle Black One next, because that one just came out crazy. We got a second Black One. Thank God it's not a legendary this time. So
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been legendary to begin with.
nope, nobody plays it. I know, and it's funny because everybody talked about if we get a Poe or Poe leader, are we going to run the other Black One? And then they just gave us this, and it's like, nah, probably not. Probably not going to run that one anymore. But I think about it this way: like it's like Commander Poe in X-wing versus Old Man Poe in X-wing, right? Like, so we're going to have one that gets 1 extra action, the other one gets like 6 extra action. And if you haven't played X-wing, all you have to do is watch our earlier videos in the channel. We talk about
Just
Poe
watch
all the time.
130 2-hour-long videos about a defunct game from 2 years ago.
Do it. Show supports the planning phase. All right, Sam, what is Black One? Tell us about Black One, baby.
Black One is a 2-cost red heroism unit, unique, obviously, and resistance vehicle fighter. So we got some big synergy. While this unit is upgraded, it gets +1/+0, so it's already making itself better than the original Black One, which is a 4/4. Its on attack is if you control Poe Dameron as a unit upgrader leader, you may deal 1 damage to a unit, and this also has a lot of Luke synergy with his. When he's out, you can do the damage. So I'm seeing a lot of good synergies that can work with him.
Yeah, I mean, you play that turn 1, and then you just pop in Poe leader on turn 2, and then what gets +3/+1, so it's a 5/4 in space on attack. Just do a damage somewhere. Yeah, for 1 resource that next turn you can still play something else.
And we don't have any 2-cost Sentinel space, do we?
I know.
No. Everything is 3 or higher.
Yeah. I mean, I guess everybody, you're gonna be playing those Black One or Black Sun Starfighters.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. The art on that is like gorgeous too. I really like that style of art.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's rare, so like, oh man, that hyperspace version of that would just look just beautiful.
Prestige.
Yeah, I'm calling it now. It's gonna be a $15 fucking hyperspace card, and it's gonna be $25 if you want a hyperfoil of that thing.
Yeah, I mean, it works very well with Poe. Obviously, that is like his whole shtick. But even like, I don't know if you're getting like real wild with it and not even putting pilots on it. Like, there's a bunch of really good upgrades that you could just put on ships that are just good, especially in red. So it's nice that it just becomes a 3/3 plus whatever the upgrade gives it.
Yeah. Now we have a companion card called Eject. Trinity, what does Eject say? It's a Gambit card too, though, by the way. So it's like they love their Gambit this set.
They
So,
definitely do.
Yeah. So tell us what this card is.
It's a 2-cross green event. Detach a pilot upgrade, move it to the ground arena as a unit, and exhaust it. And then you get to draw a card too.
How is this not legendary? Like, this is stupid.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Notice it just says detach a pilot upgrade, so that could be either person. So they have like their leader out. You're just like, I'll just throw them in the ground. Just eject them, and then also I plus on it. Just recycles itself for no reason.
I wish we had like flat cannons, right? Like if you a pilot lands on the ground and then you deal
Just take
damage
him
to it, it'd be great. Yeah.
I don't know. This seems insane, though, right? Like, just for the pure fact that, like you said, you can use, like, this is a no good to me dead kind of card for anybody running green. Like, this is like, I think this becomes like an auto include, like, in a green deck, because it's just, I don't know. Like, this is gonna feel so good if you pull this in draft. Don't pass this up, you know. Like, play this card. If I pull this in sealed, I'm playing green no matter what. This period.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
does bring
it's,
up the question. Oh, you first. Sorry.
Nope. Go
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say, yeah, you can go.
So when you detach the pilot, when it's piloted, it becomes like an upgrade of that unit. So the damage stays on that unit. You detach it, and it loses all its damage and becomes fresh. So that could be really good for your own thing. Like you have 1 health left on your Luke. All right, detach it, blow up that ship. Now you're back to 5-6, claim initiative, just like chill, get ready to swing again.
Yep, it's an emergency eject in like both ways.
Mhm.
Right? A lot of people were bringing it up with Poe Leader. As we were discussing earlier, you attach him as an action. You can then eject him, and then he just becomes a ground unit that's a 4/6 on turn 2 because you can. Which is just kind of hard to deal with, and that is not his epic action deploy, so when he's defeated, you can just bring him out again. Do it again, eject him twice. Playing 3 or 4 times a game, why not?
Now, here's a question. When you do eject the pilot out of the ship, does the ship still retain all the damage?
Yeah, presumably, right?
Yes.
So you destroy it then, basically, if it has that much damage.
Yeah, if it's got a ton of damage on there, sure. Which is nice. But it's also nice to have some pilot hate, because a lot of people were freaking out about how really good pilots are.
Just
All that
play
kind of
green.
Yeah, so it turns out just play like green-blue. Green-blue ability, just still play control, because what are you going to do against it?
So in Destiny, I looked up the Destiny card because they have one called Eject too, and it came in the last set before they canceled it. This card would cost 0 to play, which is just crazy. It's a gray neutral card, and it says discard a vehicle you control to heal 2 damage from one of your piloting characters, and then give that character 2 shields. And on top of that, you get to have an ambush action, so you get to play the card and then take another action. So at least we didn't get that card, because that card would be stupid.
Man. It works for like Chewbacca, right? As well, like upgrade, because like it just gives the ship, that pseudo thing. So you just remove the person from the ship, easy. Turns out they weren't good pilots.
I'm hitting my remote eject button. All right, Alex, what is the gorilla soldiers, and why do they not look like gorillas?
Well, one, this is a different spelling of gorilla than they used on the gorilla attack pod, where they misspelled it and only had 1 L. So at least they fixed that. And 2, yeah, this is a Twi'lek, not a gorilla, which is even funnier. But it is a gorilla soldier. It is a 3-cost yellow. It is a 2/3. And when played, you deal 3 indirect damage to a player. If a base is damaged this way, ready this unit. And that seems, okay. It's pretty nasty because you're just doing 3 damage to a unit basically when it drops. But he's only a 2/3 if you do ready him. But it is bonkers and Han, because you can play that first turn, and you can either just be like, I kill your first turn unit, unless it's like R2D2 or C3PO or something with 4 health, or Grogu, I guess. Or like I'm just swinging in for 5.
Yeah,
which is pretty gnarly. But outside of that, it seems okay. But man, it is really good at finishing off units.
I like the artwork a little bit too, because you can see in the background the little, Roger is just like very confused. The one's like facing the wrong way. The other one can't hit him.
I don't think they were ever shown to be competent.
Sweet.
All right, the last one for tonight that we're going to cover is Stay on Target. We're going to cover that one, and then we'll get some of these other spoilers a little bit later. JJ, what is Stay on Target?
So we have this 2-cost Stay on Target tactic card that comes in as a single red aspect, and it reads: attack with vehicle units. For this attack, it gets +2 and gains when this unit deals damage to a base, draw a card. Definitely really good. This feels a lot like the surprise strike type card that we have, but this is dedicated just strictly for vehicle units on there. You get that added bonus of drawing a card, but only if you're able to deal damage to a base. Not the most versatile of cards, mainly because in order for you to get that full effect, you have to be able to deal damage to a base. But if you play this early on when your opponent doesn't have enough Sentinel units out there to kind of prevent that from happening, really good way to refill up your hand and get more cards into your hand so you can have more options later on. Does have some uses, but at the 2 cost tactics, for red, there's a lot of competition for other stuff that deals damage directly to either units or to a base, and it just really depends on how badly you really need to draw cards with this particular deck here. So may see some play, but yeah.
I mean, it seems fine in like a aggro vehicle kind of list, right? Because 2 extra damage is always really good, and then drawing a card, and you're usually just hitting the base anyways.
Yeah.
I wonder if this would be really interesting if you ready a unit with like Grand Inquisitor and then play that, and then swing in for like 5 and then draw another card. I'm just like thinking of Grand Inquisitor lately. I don't know why, but just if you're doing vehicle stuff, extra attacks pretty good, and then drawing off of it for 2, it seems good enough. Like breaking in is 2. Right, and that gives you Saboteur and +2. Surprise Strike gives you +3, and that's it. This gives you +2, but you draw a card. Doesn't seem bad. Doesn't seem particularly credible, but
I don't think that's a bad. I don't think it's a bad card. I think it's it's gonna work in aggro. I do agree with you. Actually, if Grand Inquisitor could come a thing, it would be very amazing in Grand Inquisitor. So,
my local got top 16 with the Grand Inquisitor Jeddah City deck.
Okay, we'll see.
I mean,
we'll see what happens. Somebody got IG88 too. So I mean,
I was gonna say this also probably works in like overwhelm decks, like with what is it, Maul, I believe, that you can put overwhelm on units, and then you attack with this, and you're gonna go right through and deal damage to your base anyway.
All right, so you cannot use this with Maul's ability. It has to be an overwhelm. His Maul's ability is an action.
Unless Maul leader's out, which gives every
unless Maul's leaders.
True.
I wonder if this would work with like indirect damage, and they put it on their base too, right? Does that count as that unit damaging the base? I don't know. I don't know.
That's a good question. That's a good rules question.
Because the damage is coming from that unit.
That's true. But it's more like the player assigning it, isn't it?
It's the other player signing it, so they don't have to put it on their base. But like, I don't know how that works.
Because that's going to be a big question for Django, right? Like, actually, I didn't even think about that. Like, think about if you apply indirect damage to a unit, can Django tap it down?
I would assume so, right? Because you could do that with like overwhelming barrage, because they specify that's coming from that unit for the TIE Phantom rulings. So, who knows? Trap them in a web of lies.
We'll JJ, take a note of that, and what we'll do is I'll get with Gandork later this week, and we'll talk. I'll ask Gandork about it. So, well, all right. Well, thank you for joining us for our spoiler section. Those were kind of the exciting cards. We got a lot more cards that we got to go through, but like, I don't know, not all of them were as exciting as these ones were. So I really wanted to go through these. The big one is going to be the Han Solo pilot that we'll talk a little bit about next week, because that one actually is pretty good too. But we didn't build any decks with Han Solo in it, so even though we had the podcast with too many Hans on it. So I mean, I don't know. You guys did build a Han Solo deck.
Well, yeah, because there's too many of them. They don't want to put more Hans out there. Yeah.
Killing me. You're killing me. All right. Up next. Thank you for joining our spoiler segment. Up next, we're going to be talking a little bit about the PQ. We don't have a lot of lists to go through, but there's a couple of interesting lists that I wanted to cover real quick and kind of go through with everybody. So stay tuned. We are going to do our Chaos of War segment. All right, welcome to our Chaos of War. This is where we talk PQ stuff, what decks made it, what decks didn't. We're getting to the end of PQ season. We are going to still cover the decks because, you know, we got to kind of talk a little bit about them. But like what I really wanted to do is just kind of look at the overall meta and kind of see where we're at. So basically this weekend there was, let's see here, there was about 11, there was 14 PQs this weekend. No more Han Blues though, Alex. Like you would think after your success with it, we'd have saw a few more Han Blues. But when we kind of look Australia, we see another Han Yellow. There is an Obi Blue that they don't have a deck list for, which I would love to go through just because I think that's like hilarious that Obi's now showing back up again. And I do wonder if it's because with the higher amount of volume of Hans and a little bit less Sabine and a little bit less of these aggro decks, is Obi now like a very like becoming actually really, really viable because it's some of a direct counter to Tarkin Town. But we had another Sabine win, the other Australian one. So they took all the aggro. A Thrawn Blue showed up. And we aren't going to go through the Thrawn Blue list because JJ would spend 7 hours on it. Like it's silly. Like, just so you know, like it is like, oh my gosh, crazy. I don't know how it made top 8, but it did. We're not going to go through it. We had Django, Cad. We're now starting to see Han Red show up a little bit. Han Red won that one. Another Tarkin Town. So we're kind of seeing, we're seeing a few more Asages. I think that Asajj deck is kind of getting ironed out a little bit more. And I think I don't care enough about it right now to go into it. I think once we get through this PQ season, I think Asajj actually has a place next set with some of the cards that we're seeing be revealed. I really genuinely think there's a little bit more to Asajj. So buy your Asajj showcases now, folks, if you want a cheaper showcase. Another Han 1 yellow, Sabine. Here's one. This is a 23 player. This is Texas. Like, if I had known there's only going to be 23 players, we should have flown to Texas and played in this event, Alex. 23 players and a mall ECL wins that. Absolutely. If I find the small ECL list, we will cover it. I could not find it. That's crazy, right? Mall ECL.
Mall ECL beat out the Kira 30 health green.
Yep. Don't know how. No idea how that happens, but.
And that Kira either beat out a different Kira ECL or that Maul just beat 2 Kiras in a row, which is also crazy to me.
Yeah, that should probably not happen. But we don't know the list, so I don't know. You know what? I didn't watch the YouTube video. Maybe we'll watch the YouTube video later. See if we can find the list. Another Django Tarkin Town. We did have a Cad Green list. This one was kind of similar to the list that we saw Damien play a little bit, except for he's running ECL. This is running that full 30 health base. I think this needs to be on the radar. We need to, because it's basically a then there was 2 of them deck is what this is. So it's I'm going to cheat things out early, big, and tell you to deal with it. We also see a Fennec Tarkin Town show up in there, so that's really cool. I like seeing Fennec show up. I do like playing Fennec so much.
Yeah, that one is very, very much like a slight iteration off like the one that Crispy was playing.
Yeah. It's probably from the same person
original,
in it.
like set 2 Crispy. Yeah.
Crispy's been the one that's been doing a lot of that. So, we have more Sabine that we don't care about. I'll be happy when Sabine's gone. Here's an Alaska one that 11 players played in.
X-Wing. So when they used to gather data for X-Wing tournaments, Alaska always had just the most insane, wildest lists. Like, stuff that you're just like, dude, I don't even know how someone even came up with this. This is wild stuff. So I'm really hoping that's also the same thing. But judging by Sabine ECL and Boss Green and Balp Yellow, it isn't, probably. But in my heart, the Alaskan meta still holds true as just the wildest, stupidest decks you can see.
So I'm looking up a flight right now.
It's way too much money. It's like $300.
Nope. We'll just say we're returning. I don't know. Yeah. Hold on. I'm looking this up because We made a mistake. I think we should have gone here. If I had known this, like, look at this Sabine ECL, like Sabine, Help got into number 2. All right, it's a lot.
11 person PQ. Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, okay, that's more than like. Yeah, never mind. It's like $1,700. I'm good on that. Anyway, let's keep moving. Tanner's getting the side direct. We got another Django showing up there. Han Red again. Here's our IG88. We are going to cover this list because I'm going to make JJ cover this list, and then JJ's going to tell us how the hell this list like functions. I guess. I don't know. I don't understand this list. I looked at it last night. I don't get it. Another Han 1 green. That's nice to see actually Han 1 green winning out over the Han yellow. I would rather see more Han greens than Han yellows. Boss Green took it down in Jacksonville, Florida. Did Crispy play in that Jacksonville one?
I don't know. Yeah, he's been having kind of a tough schedule between work and stuff, so he's not as available. But he could have.
Well, that one had 3 boss in it, so there you go. Then we actually see a Tarkin Blue win one. That's pretty cool to see a Tarkin Blue actually win out, especially over a Sabine ECL. That's kind of wild to me. But so to begin with, why don't we cover the Iden Versio yellow list? I don't know. Have we covered one of these before?
Not the yellow Iden.
Yeah.
Okay. Alex, what is this Iden yellow list? This made top 2 in Bisping. We've seen this kind of come up a little bit. I know a buddy of mine, Sam, had been running this as well. I believe it was Sam that was running this.
I was gonna say, I think like one of your locals like runs like Iden yellow or messes around with it.
Yeah, I think it's Sam. I can't remember for sure if it was Sam.
So, anyways, this yellow Iden is you have just a 30 health. Like no one runs Jeddah City. Tragically, you got triple enticing reward, 1 restock, triple top target, double bounty posting that lets you dig for bounties, which your enticing reward and top targets are. You got triple Pershing, triple entrench, triple perilous position, triple the client, double merciless contest, triple power of the dark side, triple Lieutenant Chilton, double Fell the Dragon, triple Takedown, triple Vigilance, triple Vanquish, triple Bounty Hunter Crew, that's the one that lets you get the event back up from your discard pile, double Snoke, triple Super Laser Blast, and double Avenger. In the side, you have 2 more restocks, just in case, I guess. Triple Bazine, 1 copy of Make an Opening, triple Calculated Lethality, which I haven't seen in like any deck. That's the one that just like kills all the upgrades on the unit and gives you experience for it. And then you have a 3rd Snoke. That's just hard control Iden, just kill and heal. And then the enticing rewards are actually like super underrated card. I love those. Just grab 2 non-unit cards, which is huge for a control deck. All you have to do is kill a unit. That's not hard in this deck. And obviously the top targets and the clients and all that help immensely. And then just being able to recycle things like Vigilance with the Bounty Hunter Crew. Just grab it back from your discard pile and keep milling if you need. And then,
Super good.
As you notice, it has 2 space units as the Avenger.
That's it.
Yep. And so presumably most of the harder removal is geared towards killing the space units there between like the entrenched and the perilous positions and the vanquishes. Interesting that they don't even bother to have Rivals Fall at all. Not even like in the side. They want triple calculator lethality and an extra make an opening, I guess. Two more restocks just in case.
And no confiscates, nothing. Like,
yeah, it's actually a little bit weird they're not having like a search your feelings kind of thing. So when you restock, you can like put your vigilances and the restock at the bottom of the deck and then search your feelings, which lets you shuffle the deck so you get it back. theoretically faster than cycling through your entire deck again.
Yeah, and I kind of understand the restock a little bit. I'm not super sold that I need 3 of them, but like I know why they have them in the sideboard because why they want them, because it helps with the Chilson numbers. They are meeting what I would consider the bare minimum for Chilson with this deck. But this, like, can I just throw this in Thrawn? Like, and JJ, can we just run this in Thrawn?
You don't get the healing off Ivan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. So, all right, it's an interesting dex. I want to know why they have triple calculated lethality, though.
Yeah.
They didn't want the confiscate.
I guess. Up next is Cad's Adventures, is what they call this deck. And this is a Cadbane yellow deck. And so Sam and Trinity, we're gonna let you review this deck. I have not seen anybody run yellow Cadbane since like the beginning of the set. Remember when people were running it, because was it Jeremy who was running that? I don't remember. There's somebody at FFG that was running a yellow Cadbane. I just haven't seen it since, but they made top 8, so.
Yeah, so I find that oh, that's why. Okay, I forgot Hot Shot Blaster. When you smuggle it, it's cunning.
Yellow.
So they got 2 copies of Hot Shot Blaster, 3 Mucklunkies, 3 Greedos, 2 Shoot First, 3 Cartel Spacer, and 3 Cloud Riders, as well as 2 Bazine, which I find a little interesting. I would have done 3, but I see why. 2 A New Hopes, 2 Relentless Pursuit, 2, now there are 2 of them, like a lot of the 2s. 3 Boba Fett's, 2 Black Sun, 3 Cunning, 3 Forlom, 3 Jabba, 3 Bosk, 3 Zuckuss, 2 Emphas Nest, 2 Xandu Bloods, I know I'm saying that wrong, and 2 Cad Bane units. But yeah, it's a lot of, I don't know, I'm seeing a bunch of discard with Bazine, bouncing cards like either Cad Bane if they've already rescued their unit, then play a new adventure, put it right back down and capture other things, or now there are 2 of them, like get the Zuckuss out early or an Emphas Nest. And that can be insanely powerful. I've had it played against me. And I feel like the only real reason that they're running double yellow is for a new adventure and cunning, because those are the only 2 double yellow cards that it has, except for 2 Bodies in this. Oh, I forgot to say the sideboard. 3 Breaking In, 2 Bodies, 1 more Black Sun, 2 Waylays, and 2 Fennec. Fennec is also a really weird choice because of its ambush non-attack, but I feel like there are a lot of stronger units than it, but it looks like it can be a really good deck. What do you think?
I agree. I'm not a huge double color player, so I'm not necessarily too keen on it, but it does look pretty decent from at least the list. So.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like for a double yellow, this definitely has a good amount of aggressiveness, between the ambushes that you get from some of your higher costed cards with Forlom and Bosk and Zuckuss. You do also have a good amount of different events that you could take advantage with Bosk, and then of course Jabba the Hutt allowing you to play those events out cheaper there. You got a good balance between the 2 of like events and having ground units out there, so you can easily take out the necessary obstacles out of your path between Sentinel units to attack your opponent's base and clear the board as you need to, and still put in a decent amount of damage on there. And then, of course, Cad Bane's ability, just constantly pinging damage onto units that are left over, just really helps you just control it. I would like to see a little bit more space units out there, because really the only thing you have on here are just the Spacers, the Sentinel Black Suns, and then the Xanadu Blood. So you probably will get overwhelmed on the space side, but if you can push enough damage through on the ground, then it really doesn't matter. But yeah, a decent deck.
Yeah, just thinking about like someone dropping now there are 2 of them, and then dropping an Emphas Nest just really is, that's rough.
I've had it happen.
Yeah.
I mean, just because that's going to kill whatever you have. Like, it doesn't always trigger, but like next turns when you're dropping like Forloms and Bosks, they're just gonna kill everything and like not take damage, or your Cloud Riders even. Like, there's a lot of ambush in the deck, so Seems like a pretty solid tempo kind of deck.
Yeah, I'm a little
Yeah.
surprised we don't have any of the Syndicate lackeys. I think Syndicate lackeys would fit really well into this deck too.
And only
All right,
two
well,
now, there are few of them.
let's keep moving, I guess. So the other, oh man, this is that CAD green. So this is the CAD green. Essentially, this is from the what person that won the tournament. I don't know why the one green or the one little lady is hidden,
The
but she
Bazine.
is.
It's
Yep.
Bazine. Yeah.
Zines are hiding, honey. So this one is like 3 McClunky, 3 of the Hot Shot Blasters, 3 Cartel Spacers, 3 of the Crafties, 3 Cloud Rider, 2 No Good to Me Dead, 3 Bazine, 3 Resupply, 3 of the Super Laser Techs, 3. Now there are 2 of them, 3 Forlom, 3 Bosk, 3 Syndicates, 2 Overwhelming, 2 Emphies, 3 Maul, 3 Cad Banes, and 2 Lonely Walkers there. In the sideboard, they were very gutsy and threw in some traitorresses, 2 Palps Return, 2 Choose Your Sides, and 2 Relentless and 2 Devastators, and no Change of Hearts. There's no Change of Hearts in here. This is driving me nuts. So, like, Change of Hearts, one more cost. Do not just get rid of those like traitorresses and give me a Change of Hearts, I guess.
Also, 3 space units in the main deck. That's it.
Yeah.
It's wild to me. Like, God, what do you do against like a space heavy Django deck? Do you have to like just try to exhaust them the whole time? Like rip the cards with Bazine before they even play them? I don't know.
McClunky work. Just the McClunkies is what it can be used. You could play a Cartel Spacer exhaust and then McClunky it in the same turn.
Sure.
OB.
And that's you're kind of doing. I think that's what you're doing until you can either ramp, or if you don't draw your ramp and you're playing the now there are 2 of them, and bringing out like your heavier stuff, because you could bring out your Cad Bane pretty early actually with that. And you can bring out, and then you can drop your your Overwhelming on one of them, and you could just go aggro towards the end of the game. So
And what if they play like a Fez Fire Spray?
you're just you better hope you have a No Good to Me Dead, 'cause you ain't got
Yeah,
Waylay.
Yep.
Yeah, like that's the other weird thing. It's like there's no waylay in the side. And I like True Sides, don't get me wrong. It's like, here, take this Bazine that I don't need anymore, right? And I'll take something cool, but it just seems weird to me that they have such a massive lack of space units.
Especially when there's some really good ones that could go in there. All right, let's move on. JJ, you've got the Maroon Aquaman. What in God's green earth is this list? I really don't even want to cover this list. Like, they're running, not only are they running IG-88, they're running a 24 health green base that gives you 2 battle droids.
As you should.
Yeah,
Lowest health
exactly.
base, lowest health leader.
Yeah. Now, I think there's a couple of cards like just shifted over that I absolutely can't see, but we'll get through this here. So we got IG-88 here with the droid manufacturing base here. That's the one that lets you create 2 battle droid tokens. Obviously, it's a synergy thing. You want to have as more units on your side in order to really trigger IG-88's ability. So let's get through this. We got 3 copies of Daring Raid, 3 Death Star Stormtroopers, 2 Guavian and aggressors, 2 General Tags, 3 scanning officers, 3 seasoned short troopers, 3 snow trooper lieutenants, 2 First Legion stormtroopers, 2 Ozls, 3 super laser techs, 3 copies of the Phase 3 battle droids. We got 2 General Veers, 2 Grand Moff Tarkins, 3 Overwhelming Barrages, 2 Palpatine Returns, 3 Ruthless Raiders, 3 copies of Darth Vader, and 1 copy of Maul. And then on the sideboard, we got an additional First Legion Stormtrooper, Guavi Antagonizer, 3 Mando Fighters, 1 additional Tarkin, 2 Choose Sides, and then 2 Relentless on the sideboard there. Really interesting that this is a Empire heavy deck. You got a lot of great cheap units out there. You have a lot of good trooper units out on the board that General Tay can buff out there. On top of that, having that scanning officer on there in there as well allows you to like take out those surprise smuggle cards there from your opponents. You're probably looking for those DL44 blasters just to make sure that they don't come in and just wreck you on that side there. But yeah, you got a lot of great units out there in between the super laser techs that help you build up more resources. You can play a lot of these units out on the board, and the object of this is to just overwhelm your opponent with numbers so that we can take advantage of IG-88's ability, and then in a pinch you can use the droid manufactory to increase the number of units that you have out on the board, just so you can really go in there and deal additional damages. Even with a token, which is a 1/1 battle droid, you can use IG-88's ability to make it a 2/1 and still punch out a decent amount of damage out on the board there. So it's definitely really interesting. I like this a lot. I haven't seen an Empire version of IG-88 deck, but I like it. It looks pretty fun.
What are the missing cards, Alex?
You have triple resupply, which is interesting, and then double
To get
traders.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you got the resupply up there for Vader, basically, so you can play out the cheaper units when you ambush him in.
do you live that long with 24 health? That's what I want to know. Like, oh my gosh, I've got 3 Sentinels in this whole deck. Like, like you could run cell block guards, but you don't.
It also has 3 Ruthless Raiders as its only space units, which
Yeah.
apparently just doesn't matter anymore, according to the last 3 decks that we've seen. No one cares about space. No one, just do whatever you want. Yeah.
I do not understand this deck. I'm just gonna
Trooper synergy, just swing as fast and hard as you can, and then just auto lose to things like Hero Vigilance.
Super Laser Blast.
I mean, if you hit the point where they super laser blast you, you probably should have already lost.
Sam and Trinity, have you guys ever played against IG-88 or something like this?
Yeah, that was actually the first showcase we pulled. So we tried
No
to
way.
build a deck with it, and it looks something like this. But there's a few things with this deck that I'm just not getting. Like, why not run ECL instead of droid manufactory? Though it does give the 2 droid buff in terms of trying to get those extra units out to do his ability. But I don't see why they're not running precision fire when over half the deck is troopers, and that'd be giving +2/+2 and saboteur on attack. Take out sentinels, take out shields, take in more base damage. And there's a lot of things that I'm like kind of questioning with this, like the space units. There's a lot of good space units like Black Sun Starfighter and stuff that I feel like they're not using just because they're not Imperial. And yeah, I'm not
I mean, you
loving
can
the
run
list.
like the Outland TIE Fighters, right? That cost 2,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they give an experience to something that costs 3 or less, which is a
Mhm.
majority of the deck, and fits into the themes. But I don't know.
I don't know. Well, that wraps up our Chaos of War. So essentially, if you're going into a PQ, you do not have to worry about this deck. I don't think anybody else is going to run this deck because JJ's not playing in a PQ. JJ, this is the deck you should have ran instead of Gar. Like, Christ's sake, man.
My gosh, the amount of blue I ran against, jeez.
I don't understand this deck. Anyway, so my prediction is there will be more Han and more Sabine, it seems. So we haven't seen a decrease in Han. We have taken Han red a little bit, which is a little bit surprising to me because it's a little bit more hand destruction / aggro. But I guess it probably could beat out a Quinlan Tarkin's out, right? Because you can ramp without that, and Quinlan can't ramp. So I don't know. I don't know. I think the bigger thing is when you're going into this weekend, look at what you prefer to play, and not Sabine, because Sabine should just be banned. Let's just get rid of Sabine. I'm sick of seeing Sabine. But I don't know. Like, I don't think there wasn't a big meta shift this weekend. I don't know about you guys. Did anybody else see a big meta shift that kind of feels like very outside of that Han red being a little bit higher than we've seen before?
I mean, like, you know, a little bit more of an increase in CADs. Obviously, because we just went over a couple of them, and they're still popping up. I mean, they're still really good. Especially against probably that IG-88 deck where half the units have 1 health. I don't know how that went through all those too. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of more of the same, but also like people are branching off into other colors for other leaders, and that's kind of cool. And then occasionally you'll see something random pop into like the top 8, like that blue Bo-Katan deck that like I don't even know anyone who even tried Bo-Katan in set 3. So that's kind of wild. Or like there's a Sabine green deck that's not running ECL. Just isn't, I guess. So yeah, just like there's a little bit of iterations everywhere, nothing like crazy over the week.
All right. Well, that'll wrap up our Chaos of War. Thank you so much for joining us for that. We've got one more segment left, the most exciting segment. Alex is super excited. Everybody's excited. We've got decks that are new that you've never seen before, or hopefully you've never seen before. We got our forecast segment coming up where we're going to introduce some brand new pilots and brand new leaders to y'all. Welcome to our forecast segment. This is like our for fun segment. This is what we do when we want to have fun. And this is partially why we invited too many Hans on. Not because they were building Han decks for us, thank God, but because they you should have built a Han deck for them. But because we wanted to go over like some new decks, some new pilots, and kind of talk a little bit about whether we think some of these pilots are viable in the meta. We will do in 2 weeks. We will, once they've revealed all the leaders, we will do like a leader ranking. I always find those fun. JJ better not have any time off because every time we've done a leader ranking, somehow JJ's never here, like miraculously, because I don't think he wants. Because that one time he was on one of them when we gave you a whole bunch of shit for one of your things, I think he's avoided us ever since then. But so tonight we're going to go over some brand new lists that we've all built. We each built one list that we're going to review tonight. So I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to start with my list, and then we'll kick it over to Sam, and Sam's going to kind of give us a rundown of his list. And I put those two together because they're obviously going to be paralleling each other in the meta. So I created a Vader triple dark raid deck. I went with a 30 health base for now because I built this before the 27 health base came out. I don't know if I'd choose the 27 health base. Honestly, I don't know if I care that much for it. But essentially, my deck has 3 of the First Order ties, 3 Bounty Hunters Query, 2 Bombers, 2 of the TIE Bombers. I am now going to try the Prepare for Flight. And I'll explain Play for Takeoff. And I'll explain why in a minute, because I'm kind of high on that card right now. With the stuff coming up, and I'm excited for it. I also have 2 Ramparts, and we made fun of this card. I think we made fun of this card.
You did. I didn't.
When this came out, but I think I found a way to fix that. Like, there's a way to fix that. But I also have I can't read the 2
Backstabbers.
Is that who it is? I can't.
Yeah, it's Wingman Victor 2. That's Backstabber.
There we go. 2 surprise strikes, 2 sneak attacks, 3 waylays. Because I'm going for very full Imperial synergy, I threw 2 Veers in, 3 of the 7th Fleet Defenders, 3 TIE Phantoms, 3 of the new Vader Bomber. I call it that because that's really
Victor leader.
That's Vader's ship there.
TIE Advance, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. It's not about TIE Advance. And then we have 3 triple dark raids, 3 resupplies, 2 of the other guy that I don't know.
Mauler Mythal.
Maulers, there you go. 2 TIE Advance, 3 of the shuttles, that is the Krennic shuttle, 2 of the quasi TIE carriers, 2 of the I don't know how you say that word. Arquitens. Thank you.
Yeah.
Those are really fun, by the way, if you play Armada. Those are super fun in Armada.
Yeah.
To fly. And 2 reinforcement walkers. In my sideboard, I have the new target card, 3 of those, 2 of the shoot first, 3 swoop downs, and that's kind of a placeholder right now. I don't know if I really need those or not. I have 2 Cobb Vanth, 2 of the No Good to Be Deads, and then 2 Moth Tarkins. So the idea obviously is the triple dark raid. I don't know how well this works or not, but the idea is you're able to spam units and have more units out on your board. So like the bounty hunters queries can work very well, especially because we're going to have a lot of people doing indirect damage. And indirect damage is going around, so people might be a little scared. You put that out, they don't know what you got. I'm trying those prepare for takeoff cards because you get to draw vehicles, right? And so like it's like I think you get 2 of them, correct?
Yeah, you get
so
2
you
vehicles.
could kind of go around the people that are like discarding cards from your hand by being able to play that card. Now I guess if they strip that card, you're just out of luck, but but like if you could play that card and you could pick up more vehicles with that. And because of some of the way that you can add, like with the tie advances and some of these other things, you can add the stuff to that rampart, but you can pull that rampart with a sneak attack, right? And that thing will come in ready, and then it could do the 3 damage. And yeah, it's still a 2 cost thing, but that's kind of a way around it. You can also upgrade it now. So I have not a ton of upgrades because I'm not super sold on upgrades, but I do believe like being able to put the Mauler boys in the game was super fun, and this kind of reminds me of like my Empire list from X-Wing. So that's partially why I created it. So there's a lot of token generation with Vader. There is some indirect damage that can be done. The bounty hunters query is there. You get the first order TIE fighter, which is really cool because you could play that. Turn 1, play a bounty hunters query, and then like next turn after you attack with it, you can literally just put another token unit on the board, and like so it, even though it doesn't have a lot of health, like it could you can use Vader to help build up that piece of it. So thoughts? You're all open to thoughts, suggestions, telling me I'm crazy?
For me, the only thing I would probably consider is just adding a little more Sentinel on the space side, just to protect your Victor Leader card, to allow you to at least have a time to deploy your pilot onto there. That's the only thing I would suggest. But beyond that, I like it a lot. It's a very nice space heavy deck. Definitely has a lot of great options there for your units to get on there and do some serious damage on there. But it does need that Sentinel piece just to just help protect you for those turns that you absolutely need to bring in your pilots in.
You also probably don't have enough low drops. Like you don't really want to play like Backstabber as just a 3/2 ground unit, and like Rampart's not doing anything at all for the first turn, right? So like you effectively have 5 first turn plays. But I'll give you like some more for the Bounty Hunter's Quarry. I guess that's kind of useful. But like if you don't hit like a vehicle off at the beginning, like if you have to play like Backstabber as a ground unit off, like you're not getting any of your TIE Fighter generation with Darth Vader and stuff. And you have to wait another turn to start generating things, and then if they actually take control of space, it just kind of, you don't have a lot of health in space. But no, I mean the end game's nice. And also, like, triple dark raiding one of those Arquintons is very nice because they ramp off of whatever they have there.
Yeah, and that was kind of the idea with that. Like it's a low enough cost you can actually utilize that with it, which I was surprised about.
And play it at 6 resources.
Yep. So, and it's going to kill something immediately. So,
more pilots, maybe. Why not?
Yeah.
Cell block guard to be good in this too, just to have some, or just at least 1 or 2 units that are sentinel on the ground, because it's so ground light. You have 2 units that are meant to be played on ground. It's just that you're going to be taking in all that damage regardless, because it doesn't seem like there's a lot that can block it other than indirect damage.
Yeah, and that's why that's what the swoop downs are in there for. But the other thing was I was debating on outmaneuvers. I didn't know if outmaneuver would be good in this deck as well, just as a way to stop the ground.
Probably as a sideboard, right? And then you just react to your opponent's deck.
I'm not sure what the sneak attacks are really doing.
Probably nothing, Jay or Alex, but they're fun, and I like sneak attack. And it's just there. Those are probably an easy. We can just easily cut those. Actually, I'd probably rather have another surprise attack or surprise strike. Honestly,
But yeah, like if you get the token generation off, it seems kind of annoying to go against. They're gonna kill your Veers like immediately though. Nothing protecting him. But yeah, I mean, it's a start.
All right, Sam, you're up next. You've got rebellions are built on fighters in all caps because I guess he's a fighter. Luke's the fighter.
Yeah, he's got the fighter decks. Yeah, so
right.
I built this deck a lot on just I love red-green heroism. So I'm like, I'm gonna throw ECL on there just because Sabine does it. A lot of the good decks do it. I might as well. So I got Luke 2 and ECL. I've got Alliance Dispatcher, R2 2 because it's the new one. I've got Trench Run, or I should be saying quantities. I got 3 of all these so far. 3 Timelies, 3. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to pull up Swooty Bee because I have no idea how to say that name sometimes.
It's just Frisk. He just takes off upgrades, which is funny because he frisks upgrades off people.
And then I got 3 Battlefield Marines, 3 Anakin's Interceptors. I've got 3 Red Squadron A-Wings. Let's see, I got 3 Blue Leaders. I got 3 Biggs Dark Fighters. Oh my gosh. I got...
Starfighter would be appropriate for this deck, though.
Yeah, it's true. 3 Red 3s, 3 Red 5s, 3 Resupply, 3 Blue Leaders, 2 Chewies, and 3 Adelphi A-Wings. Or 3 Adelphi Patrol Wings, my bad.
I think you also passed over the 3 Sparkle Hoves and the 3 Red Squadron Y-Wings. But
oh, yeah. I didn't even see that on here. Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
And then in the sideboard, I've got 3 Confiscates. I got 3 Smuggler's Aids, an extra Chewy, and I got 3 ETA 2 Light Interceptors. It's a huge, just heavy deck on space. I've got a few to balance it out, like Battlefield Marine if I need to ECL that in or timely it. I've got my pilots, Frisk, Biggs, and Chewy, and R2, Alliance Dispatcher, and Resupply and Spark, just so I can ramp as much as possible to get Adelphi and Luke out quick. I want to just be throwing in a lot of units to kind of counter control because that's what I really feel like I do horrible against is Merciless Contest and Power of the Dark Side I'm always going up against. So flooding the board is best. You can do a lot of good piloting things with this deck, like throwing out Green Squadron or Anakin's first and then putting Biggs or Frisk on there. Even without their abilities, there's still just extra buffs and you just keep hitting, keep dealing extra damage to different units on the base. And eventually when you get Luke out, preferably put him on a red 5 and then just keep doing his combo. But it really works well that you don't have to set up one specific combo. You can just do a variety and they all work well that way. What do you think?
I mean, I know it's like all in on space, right? So just like hopefully you just have enough damage in your space units to outpace them if they're running a bunch of ground units. Because I mean, the Battlefield Marine does 3 damage, but anything other than that doesn't really do too much. But like, I mean, it seems solid. It's a bunch of fighters. It's a bunch of just buffs. Right, and I guess Blue Leader can also be kind of a ground unit as well, which is cool. And like the timelies are nice tempo plays, and the trench runs and stuff. Like it's a pretty neat, quick aggro. I'm not sure about the math on the Spark of Hope relative to the cost of your units, but they're all pretty cheap, so you're probably good on that. Maybe the resupplies are just a little bit too slow. That's all my only thought.
Yeah, I don't know if you need 3 sets of ramp. If it were me, I would probably dump one of the 2 of them. That's probably what I would do.
Like you already have Alliance Dispatcher too, so like that saves you another cost.
Yeah, for me, honestly, like the resupply, I would sacrifice and put in a wedge in there, mainly because he serves as a passive sentinel, right? Because your opponent doesn't want to have a ground unit there that's going to further buff your space units, especially if you're very space heavy. So they're going to naturally want to attack wedge on the ground to ensure that the incoming attacks from the space side don't do as much damage on there. So that'll be my change on there. Maybe even Dodana as well, since you have a pretty good amount of rebel units on there as well. But less so. I'll probably go more with Wedge.
I don't like Dodana. I'm sorry, I don't like Dodana in this build because by the time Dodana comes out, like it's just a win more card. If you haven't like done a bunch of damage, like I like the idea behind the deck because it's saying I want to play more units on a lower side of it, and I do like that piece of it. Like I think that's really good for it. It's hilarious you have one set of upgrades in there. Oh, I'm sorry, you have two sets. You have bigs. You do have bigs in there. Okay, so you have two sets of upgrades. So
Well, like Chewie. Like you got Frisk, Biggs, Chewie, and R2D2.
Oh, that's true. That isn't the original R2D2. That's who I thought that was.
Oh no. I mean, like the
Yeah, it's
R2D2 is kind of weird because like it just means you attach another pilot. So like it's not really
It's thematic.
a pilot that you're putting on there. It's just a +1/+1 upgrade essentially for free. Don't get me wrong, it's nice, but
It's thematic, baby.
yeah, I mean you could put it on Red 3 and then or Red 5 and also put Luke on Red 5. You know,
Yeah.
do whatever you want.
Flies
So
in
that's
together.
super thematic, and then play the trench run and then blow up.
Yeah. I think my thing would be is I would drop. I don't think you need that much ramp. I don't think that's what you want to do in this deck. I don't think 6 ramp cards are where I would go with it.
Yeah, because the ramp just lets you play more units, but
Yeah.
like eventually your hand just doesn't have cards to play.
If it were me, I would be playing Bounty Hunter's Query in this deck. But that's just me.
true.
And that's what?
I was gonna say you do have like ambush and stuff, so that would work.
Yeah, it works. It works very well with that ambush piece of it, especially because that blue leader, on your 6 research turn, you could play that damn thing. Bounty Hunter's Query, you can ambush that thing out and kill something in space or in on the ground. And so, they're definitely not going to be like. I think that's actually probably one of the best cards in the set so far. Is that blue leader? I love that card so much.
Yeah,
I will definitely be playing that card. The set, but other than that, I would dump some of the ramp, and I would put Bounty Hunter's Query in here. Is what I would do. 100%. That's what I would do because that's going to help you with card draw. Yeah, I think that helps you with card draw. You could be spicy and put Cobb Vanth in there, but I mean you have a lot of 2-drops. you have enough true drops that in fairness it does work, right?
Yeah.
But all right, well let's move on to the next deck. We've got, I don't know why you called it this, so hopefully you can explain what proto means to us, Alex.
Do you not know what the prefix proto means? Like prototype? Like it just means like the first iteration of.
Oh, okay. So I thought it was something really cool. Like this was like some underground Star Wars character I didn't know about. But no, you
just means
disappointed
like
me
first.
again. You disappointed me, Alex.
It's like saying alpha, like it's just a prototype.
Wow. I already feel embarrassed for it. I like the name of my deck for you better than this one.
It's okay. You could just cut out my entire explanation. They'll never see it coming and make me look stupid.
All right, tell us about your Boba deck because Boba's a hot mess right now.
So I took the red Boba leader and just a yellow base. So this deck has double confiscate, triple daring raid, triple of the first order stormtrooper, double of the first legion snowtrooper, triple tie bomber, double no good to me dead, triple Zygarian starhopper, double mist hunter, triple dark raid, triple of the 3-cost Boba unit, triple of the 4-cost Dangar unit pilot, triple of the hunting aggressor. That's the one that bumps up the indirect damage each one you do by 1. Triple the 4-cost Fetz fire spray, double IG 2000, double of the Boba pilot, double IG 88 pilot, triple Fetz fire spray, the 6-cost one, double Planetary Bombardment, triple Ruthless Raider, and double of the Red Devastator. In the side, I got 2 Swoop Down, triple Waylay, triple Cell Block Guard, and double No Disintegrations. So, Boba, as a leader, is anytime you deal non-combat damage, you can exhaust him and deal like 1 indirect damage to the player. So things like Daring Raid does damage, and that's non-combat damage, so you could trigger Boba off of that. Same with all the indirect damage, then which this deck mostly focuses on, and then things like Boba units on attack effect, and like the Ruthless Raider coming in and doing 2 damage, or like the Devastator, or Boba Pilot, or Boba Leader. When they get into the vehicle, they do damage to other vehicles, and that's non-combat damage. So it gets really nasty. And this is mostly just all about doling out indirect damage and then punishing them for putting it on their units.
Yeah, put it on your unit, baby.
And then the Devastator shows up, and you're just like, I put all the indirect damage wherever I want now. So now I just wipe out your entire row of units. So that's what this deck does. It seems kind of silly. And I like actually having like Dengar, IG-88, and Boba have the option of being on the ground, especially IG-88, because if anyone has any indirect damage, or any unit is damaged, it becomes a 7/5, which is mostly one-shots all the leaders.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah, I think on my side, I think the only thing I would ask is why do I not have Boba Fett's armor? Like, you got enough damn Boba Fett units, you're gonna get it off.
I'm not putting the Boba Fett leader like on the ground.
But if you have,
ideally.
why not? What if you have Boba Fett's armor? It works out great.
What if he gets ejected?
You're right. What if I get ejected? I never liked Boba Fett's armor, even when I'm playing Boba Fett decks. Originally, the first pass, I had Boba Fett's armor, and then I'm like, this is useless. Why would I play this? I'd rather play literally anything else.
Well, does Boba Fett's armor stop indirect damage?
No,
or is it going to buy? Or is it, okay. So let's say you have to do 3 indirect damage. Boba Fett's armor, you say I'm going to put all 3 here. Does it prevent 2 out of those 3?
No, you just take all 3.
Okay. Well, then it's a little bit less go.
Yeah, it doesn't, sadly, doesn't work that way. But also, you get like a bunch of little, the First Legion Snowtroopers punish people for taking indirect damage on their units, which you're going to have to, because this thing pumps that out a lot, and if you don't, you just win by like turn 4. But there's a lot of like incidental synergies with the ships that you take, like the Dengar. He works with the underworld ships, and Boba works with transports. So the Hunting Aggressor is both an underworld and a transport, and so is both Fett's Fire Sprays and the Mist Hunter. So like it's just like a bunch of like incidental kind of synergy between all the transports and the underworld stuff and all that. And then also like the capital ships being the Ruthless Raider and the Devastator. It works for planetary bombardment if you really want to just dole out 12 damage. Yeah. But it gets really nasty too with the Hunting Aggressors with Boba's ability, because then it's like 2 indirect damage. And it's like each instance of indirect damage gets +1. So like you do indirect damage with TIE Bomber, that's like 4, and then you could trigger Boba's ability and do 2 more. So you're like doubling up on something that's like 1.
Yeah, I do actually wonder if you even need those Devastators in there. Maybe those go to the sideboard and you I don't know,
Dark Raid them on 6 resources.
Yeah, true.
And then just come in, just do 4 damage to wipe off all their units at 1 health, because they're putting all the indirect damage on there, because that's all this deck is. And then swing in for 9. But like any like weird thoughts other than why don't you have Boba's armor, you cretin?
That drives me nuts. But yeah, I'm not like I'm also. I guess I did not know that the daring raids actually did what you said. Like that makes those a little bit more.
Yeah, they're not combat damage.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit more crazy. To be honest with you, and you don't have a lot of sentinel either. But I don't know. Like I don't think it matters as much. Like if you look at the Django's of the world, I don't know really if it matters. You don't have any lurking TIE Phantoms, which I guess makes sense because you're not building an Imperial build. But it's just weird not seeing those stupid things sitting in there.
Everyone around me plays Blue Hero. Those things just die immediately.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, like the sideboard is mostly like, oh, they're going really heavy into ground, so that's why it's got the waylays, the cell block guards, and the swoop downs or whatever. But also, like, again, like Boba Fett, Dengar, and IG-88 are not bad units
No,
for ground. So I tried to keep it a little bit balanced. Also, that IG-2000 is just so nasty when everyone just puts all their indirect damage on their units and just drop it down and kill 3 units, doing 1 damage to each of them. Which is also not combat damage, so it triggers Boba Fett's ability.
Anybody else have any thoughts? Trinity, Sam, y'all quiet? You
Yeah.
gonna play this?
They haven't
Are
seen
you-
an
are you
Alice deck
scared?
before.
I am scared, and I would consider open fire in the sideboard. Swoop down is really good, and no disintegrations is also really good. Waylay has its uses, and so does cell block. I feel like the only thing that I'm a little iffy about is First Legion Snowtrooper, but I guess if it autos pinging damage with indirect damage, then you're damaging it, and then you get the buffs almost no matter what. So it is a good turn 1 drop, which is not something I've thought about before.
Yeah, it's just punish for putting indirect damage on units.
Yeah.
Mhm. Frozen in Carbonite.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost actually like that Frozen in Carbonite better than the disintegrations. And so
Yeah.
The nose disintegrations is more of like, oh, they dropped something massive. I'm going to play no disintegrations, then kill him with Daring Raid. Whatever they drop. Great Dragon, Devastator, doesn't matter. Drop it down to 1 health, then you kill it with a ping.
fair enough.
Or like, no disintegrations, drop IG-2000, or no disintegrations, play Boba Pilot or Boba Leader.
That's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
good. Yeah, it's really good.
All right. Well, we're gonna move on to Trinity's deck because it's Phasmatastic, and I love me some Phasma. Actually, and if you had not picked this leader, this is actually who I would have picked. And some of it's my destiny, and some of it's because the last worlds I played in, I played First Order. So I just love me some First Order. I do like me some First Order. I'm sad for X, but why don't you tell us what your deck is and what you're trying to do?
So we do have the ECL base just because why not? I'm actually gonna pull up the other list because I cannot see a thing on it.
She has trouble seeing the names when they're.
Yeah.
she's
They're
just
also
pulling up the
all
sweet
new,
deal.
right? So
Yeah, so
that
it's like-
doesn't help.
So we have 3 of the First Order Stormtroopers, which I really like the art of. I think it's really cool. We have General Pride. We have 3 of those. General Hux, also 3 of those. 3 Super Laser Techs. 3 of the Phasma unit. Also 3 Kylo Rens. 3 First Order TIE Fighters, which I think they're super cool also. And then I'm totally gonna butcher the next name, but 3 Kajimi Patrollers, possibly?
I believe that's right.
I believe.
JJ's our resident.
Yeah, Kijimi Patrollers. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. We also have 3 Kylo's TIE Silencers, 3 Special Forces TIE Fighters, 3 TIE Bombers, 3 Resupply Carriers, 3 Finalizers. Then we have 3 Timelies, 3 No Disintegrations, 3 Resupplies, 2 Planetary Bombardments, and then for the sideboard we have the 3 of the Phase 3 Dark Troopers, 1 extra Planetary Bombardment, and then we just have 3 Snokes out of aspect, and then also 3 Relentless. So it's mostly just unit flooding to try to get her ping to go off. And then you're meant to ECL in her unit. But I do notice that there's a lot of ramp, so I don't know if that's actually needed. But other than that, I am way open to a lot of what's the word I'm thinking of?
Suggestions.
Yes, suggestions.
Well, the one thing I would definitely recommend, since you do have quite a few cheap units out there, is probably putting in the Darth Vader ground unit there, just so when you ambush them in, you can also bring in a few of these low cost like TIE fighters in there as well. That would be probably a decent addition on there. Beyond that, I mean, I do like the low cost barrier for this. Just being able to spam a lot of low cost units really helps out a lot with Phasma, and the ECL on there to get some of these units out in a hurry would be really well. Although it's not a first order unit, definitely I would consider also a Ruthless Raider as part of your main. Just having that extra damage when it gets deployed is really good for you to soften up a target for then some of your other units to go in and be able to either finish it off or just go straight into the base if you're able to kill it with the Ruthless Raider. That would be my only suggestion for this.
Yeah, I would say like I think the goal is like you have so many low drops. I don't know if you need that much ramp, and then you have Finalizer. And I know it's a first order ship. I'm just gonna tell you like you can play Devastator for 1 cheaper, a million things better. Like I guess we will see. But the problem with I think Finalizer is if you don't have a bunch of space units, it can't capture a bunch of space units. And so like that's like the downside to that stupid card is it doesn't do anything if you don't have a board presence. Like I don't think that ship can capture every space unit, can it?
No,
I
it just
believe so.
lets you. Well, it lets as many
Other ones.
number of friendly units you have.
Yeah.
And they capture a unit in the same arena, a non-leader unit in the same arena.
Yeah.
Just can't capture leaders.
Yeah,
but it is also a giant 11-11, and I can respect that.
It is, but you could play. I don't know. Personal opinion, I would not play them. That's just me. Like that would not be. I guess you could bring it out technically if as long as you have Hux on the field, you could bring that out for. Is it Hux or the other one? Whatever one of the stupid admirals is, you can bring it out cheaper.
You're thinking of Piet?
No, that's ambushing. No, who's the one? No, there's one that allows you to bring the first order out 1 cost cheaper.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that is Hux. Yeah.
Hux allows you to draw a card if you
Yeah.
played a first order card.
Yeah, no, I don't think anything lets you play first order for cheaper.
That's
But
just
also,
better.
you have like resupply carrier, super laser attacks, and resupply. So like you're ramping. My only thing is that you have so many low cost units that what are you ramping to? Like you just need some bigger units, like reinforcement walkers or something, or Palpatines or something. Some payoff for all the ramp you're doing, other than like triple finalizer, which is still fine. It's like a giant 11-11 is just really hard to deal with by and large, but something to ramp up to, like maybe cut the planetary bombardments for again like Palpatine or something, right? Like something that just something big where they're just like, oh, this isn't good, or like JJ said, like a Vader or a Maul or something wild like that. Just have to have some sort of payoff for the ramp.
Yeah, I think that'd be definitely a lot more worth it than just having half to a quarter just being full ramp.
Yeah, because it goes from Kylo to Finalizer from
Yeah.
6 to 11.
6 to 11.
Cost.
Yeah.
Like even like main decking the Relentless is worth it.
It's true.
Yeah, especially because now we're with us being in the like a heavier mode. If you get to Relentless, they're going to be able to try to kill your ships, and so like being able to utilize that works really, really well. I don't know. It's a neat little deck. I think it's a great start, and I think it's like something that we can, you can build on, towards whatever you want. You just got to drop finalizers. No more finalizers.
We're huge fans of Devastators.
Yeah. You're talking to two Pelp players here, so that's the problem. Is you're talking to people that play like Pelp Control red and Pelp Red of all things too. So.
But also, like, the finalizers are first order, and it fits with the rest of the first order synergy there. I get it. But Devastator's so cool. It just shows up and blows something out of space.
Yeah. Like, honestly, for me, like, Finalizer, if we eventually get something in the first order that allows you to deploy like first order TIE Fighter tokens, for instance, then at that point, you're probably can set that up easier. So that way your tokens can then take units when you deploy the finalizer on there, but without having that guarantee of having that big spread of your units around that time. It's hard for finalizer to be effective when you deploy it on there. So yeah, I think at this point probably just a sideboard piece and probably subbing it in for some of the other cards that we mentioned might be a better choice for that, just to get a little more efficiency out of the deck when you're playing it. So yeah.
All right, well, JJ, you are the last one with your Chiss invasion here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got double blue Grand Admiral Thrawn on here. I went through several iterations of this particular list just because I had a couple of cards that I wanted in here that didn't make the cut, but I'll go over it, the list first here. So we got 3 copies of Roger Roger, 3 Onyx Squadron Brutes, 3 Distant Patrollers, 2 copies of Mahdi, 2 Desperate Commandos, 2 Director Krennics, 3 Clients, 3 Battle Droid Escorts, 3 Calculating Magnet Guards, 3 Morgan Elsbeths, 3 Vigilances, 3 Felder Dragons, 3 copies of Second Chance, 3 of the Shuttles, 3 Chimeras, 3 Fleet Interdictors, 3 Providence Destroyers, 2 copies of that, 2 copies of the Avenger, and 2 Battle Droid Legions on there. And then on the sideboard, 1 additional copy each of Avenger, Legions, Providence, Fleet Interdictor, and 3 race stocks there in the board. So essentially what I wanted to do with this list is just have quite a bit of control, but also have a good amount of units that I can spread on both sides of the board there. I have almost an equal amount of ground units and space units in here just so I can adjust to wherever I need to on there. Having the Vigilances and the Felder Dragons on there are a big boost just to keep my health up early. Also mill if I need to my opponent's deck. And then, of course, deal with big threats as they come in. Thrawn's ability pretty much triggers with the majority of these on here. Originally, I wanted to also include Brutal Traditions as an upgrade on this as well, since I'm going to have a lot of units that die, and I can constantly pull that out from my discard. But I felt if I'm going to do that, I might end up just stalling my momentum. The other thing I wanted to have on here is Top Target as well, but again, just felt like there are more cards I can main deck here for this. But I have a decent amount of healing between the Client and Morgan Elsbeth and Vigilance to help keep my health up high. And then I have a lot of different abilities to either deploy shields, to play these units a little cheaper with Krennic, being able to give negative buffs with like Desperate Commandos, and re-ready some of these units with Admiral Mahdi. There's just a lot of different interactions that you can put on here, and hopefully just deal with a lot of damage over time and just outlast your opponents.
So I would say the first thing is I would dump those Battle Droid Escorts immediately.
Well, the only reason I kept them on there, and I did consider to drop them, is because when you play them, you're also deploying a token, and that helps me exploit the Battle Droid Legions and play them a little cheaper. And if I'm using Thrawn for that, now I have 2 tokens that I can deploy, and now I'm paying 5 for the Battle Droid, the Legions. So that gets that big unit out on the board a little bit faster. So that's mainly the main reason I have the Battle Droid Legions or the Escorts on there, is to lead up to that point.
Also, It works well with Morgan Elsbeth, which I actually just super love in this deck. I think that's a really good pick there, just because you get the if your opponent's
Draw
not
the
killing
card.
your own stuff, you might as well do it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
I do like that. It's tragic to me that there's no Vals in here, because you can just
I
get
really consider. Yeah,
double experience, and they only do 3 damage.
yeah,
And only
yeah,
2 Mahdi's also hurts me too.
Yeah, so I really was like on the bench. I'm putting Val in there, but I just felt that having some more capital ships on the board felt a little bit better for it. But Val was definitely one of the choices that I wanted to put on there. I almost just dropped the restocks in favor for like having Val on my sideboard, but yeah.
Why not drop the Roger Rogers for Val?
Mainly because you can deploy them onto tokens, and they just help them do
Oh my
damage.
god.
before they
Okay.
die. Yeah.
All right. I don't. There's a change, JJ. Dump the battle. I still don't like those battle. I still don't like you guys' explanation. I mean, you don't have any Chilsons in here. You have almost a full blue deck and no Chilsons.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
I would actually dump the Battle Droid Legions, period. Though they're OP all art cards, look pretty sweet, and I've never played them. So like, it'd be kind of cool to put those on the table because I have like 3 foils of those, but I don't know. I'm not sold on that.
You definitely need Jilsons here, and 3-second chance might be a little bit excessive.
Yeah.
Probably just 2, because they do cost 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. My thing would be, I would put Chilsons in here in a heartbeat, and I would immediately get rid of those Roger Rogers for Vals. So even if you don't put Val down on the first churn, I don't know. I don't like your distant patrollers either, though. I hate those ships so much. I hate those more than your Roger Rogers. How about that?
So those are mid-game pieces, right? Those are for when I need to like protect an asset for a little bit longer. Just being able to throw on that and to give out 2 shields, I think that's a worthy inclusion for that. So
It'd be really good if you had Jilsons.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. That one I'll approve of.
Sam and Trina, do you have any notes?
I definitely think that the Chilsons are needed.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I actually kind of like the battle droids. I don't see them ran very often, so that might be why. But I like battle droids anyway. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that you could use with some merciless contests. Kill something of yours, claim the bounty, or not the bounty, the win defeated twice, and then kill something of theirs, or I don't know. I just feel like that's the main thing you're missing. The Battle Droid Legions, at that point, I would just sub in the extra Avenger from your sideboard, and then you only have 6 cards in your sideboard. So, because you still have 3 open spots on your sideboard as of right now. So, I would just fill those up with something like Val for sure. That's really good because you do I think it's 2 or 3 damage. I'm not precisely sure.
It's 3 damage, but you can double claim the 2 experience tokens first.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So that's really good. But I mean, other than that, I would just say a little more removal, fill up the sideboard, Chelson's course, and Merciless Contest is ominously a card that I've looked. As soon as I saw this leader, it's the first thing that came to mind. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
worst
that's
comes to
actually-
worst, you just do it with a battle droid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's actually a good point. I never thought about that. The Merciless Contest, actually. That's probably like better in this deck. I'm not sold on the Mahdi's either, personally. Like, I know everybody is, but I'm
Mahdi's
just
when you
not.
have a way of actually killing them, like JJ's deck does, seems pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
You put a Mahdi down, I'm just gonna kill it. You know that, right? Like,
That's his whole purpose. Then I'm just readying one of my units.
Sentinel.
unless you have no other effing
Yes.
units.
Well, then I
Exactly.
play
It's basically
Mahdi.
a sentinel. Yeah, it's basically a sentinel.
Like I'm exhausted. Like I'm swinging in with like an Avenger or something, and then I'm dropping the Mahdi. Please kill it. If you don't, I'm going to Merciless Contest it, or Morgan
Exactly.
Elsbeth it, or whatever I need to do. Exploit it out for something.
I also think having a third Krennic is really good. I think Krennic is actually a little bit better than we gave him credit for. originally, and maybe that's just maybe you swap out one of the second chances for another Krennic. I think 3 Krennics. You don't have any removal really in here, so Merciless Contest almost actually becomes very imperative, I think. And that could be very good, especially if they have like 3 upgraded ships. Like, what are they gonna do? They gotta kill one of them. Yeah, I agree with you though, Sam. Actually, I think that's a really good call. Merciless Contest is a really good card.
Yeah.
Never thought about that. So I like also how you have an absence of power of the dark sides too. Like there's no power of the dark sides. You just like, we're just gonna run without that card. We're like, we're gonna pretend that card doesn't exist.
Well, I mean, like for me, it was like either Fell the Dragon, which can guarantee me that I'm defeating a high powered like card, or if my opponent happens to have a lot of different units out there and they can choose something lesser, they get the choice for that. Sure, I can engineer opportunities where I can target that specific unit, but I rather not have to like finagle my way to force that decision, and then just choose, instead of me having the ability to just choose a high power unit and say, you know what, I'm going to kill this unit with all the dragon is done, you know.
I guess. I think the other thing you got to be careful of, you don't have anything that kills leaders. I don't think you don't have Super Laser Blast. Yeah, you don't have Super Laser Blast in here. I don't know. We're getting tight on all these cards now, so now it's becoming a bigger question of what the meta is actually.
Vigilance can kill a leader if they're 3 or less health.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if they're 3 or less health. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. This was actually a fun segment. I enjoy deck building, even if I'm not that good at it. I like messing around with it. I built 4 decks today at work while I was on a training call, so you know, it's not like I have plenty of decks coming out of the woodworks. But with that being said, we will be back next week. Hopefully, we will have our recordings on Sunday this time. If you are in the Michigan area and you would like to go to a Star Championship, we have actually really cool prizing. We always do very well. We're doing one in Zealand on Saturday. So bright and early Saturday morning. So you still get the rest of your Saturday in if you want to. Also, I want to thank Sam and Trinity for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure having the 2 of you on. Again, tell everybody real quick, where the hell can they find Too Many Hans other than their card collection?
We have a link tree right now that has a Spotify, YouTube, Discord, and everything on it, and it has all of our links, so that is probably the best way to find whatever content you're looking for. We're going to be posting some stuff on YouTube as of soon, but Spotify right now or Discord, we're going to be posting every time we go live, and we're going to actually post this episode once it goes live to shout out everything and as a thanks for letting us come on and everybody. So
awesome. Yeah, make sure you check them out. They have a wonderful podcast that just started and they're local to Michigan, so that's like win-win situation for all of us. And more Star Wars Unlimited content, the better. With that being said, thank you all for joining us. Have a good night, and we'll see you on the Flippity Flop.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for listening.